Hi, I'm Jason Bergquist, and I'm the proud owner of retirementofyourdreams.com. Today, I'll be discussing part 3 of my 3-part video series on how to build your money status to create the retirement of your dreams. Specifically, this video is for you if you're overwhelmed about gathering all the financial information and knowing how to use that information to plan for your retirement. Before I continue, if you missed part 1 or 2, click here and get caught up. Today, what we're going to go over are these 3 teaching points. 1, need to know what information to gather. Hint, everything. 2, need to know how to access your information. Answer, we have to figure that out. 3, need to share all pertinent information. We must share all the information so we have a better picture of what your retirement's going to look like. Let me introduce myself if we still need to meet. I'm Jason Bergquist. I joined this business to help people create the retirement of their dreams. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I've seen all the different ups and downs in the market over that time. My whole goal is to help educate people, help them understand how to set up the retirement of their dreams, and bring hope back into their lives. I realized this was my calling back in about 2010 while I was going through my own divorce. At that time, I was financially low, and I realized that I wasn't practicing what I preached. So I had been teaching financial principles for over 10 years at that point, and realized that I was at a low in my finances, and I committed right then and there that I was to start practicing what I preached. So I delved in even deeper. I spent time working at Merrill Lynch. I became a certified financial fiduciary, and I started to put those things into practice for myself. But all of those experiences allowed me to better understand what's going on in your world and how I can help. Now I have a team of experts helping me figure out all the best options that are out there and how to empower you to create the retirement of your dreams. Again, I'm going to go over part 3 of 3, how to build up your money status to create the retirement of your dreams. Step 1, knowing what information to gather. Again, my hint, everything. Many times when we get to this point in the process, people generally don't know what to gather. The simple answer is that we need to gather everything that we can gather. Why do I say that? Because the more you share, the better picture you'll have. We will discuss all of the different options for your future. So not knowing what to gather, that's a simple answer. It may not be the answer you want, but it's simple. We need to gather everything we can for each of your investment accounts and more. Whatever you have through work or personal, insurances, social security information, and so on and so forth. We must look for it all. We're gathering everything as you review the Retirement of Your Dreams blueprint and complete the Retirement of Your Dreams assessment form. I have it all broken down for you. You'll see the drop downs in the information that we're looking at and that we're going over. So you can fill those in on that Retirement of Your Dreams assessment form. Still, we want to gather everything we can, including old investments you haven't looked at in forever, current investments, access to your 401k, and so on. For example, a client of mine, as we delved in what she called her 401k, we realized that she had a 401a and a 403b in addition to her 401k. And in her mind, she just lumped all of it together as her 401k retirement account. And just said, and another who I was just talking to said that she had an IRA. And as we were talking further, she did have an IRA account, but she also had one inherited IRA account. And there was another one that she called an IRA that was her 401k that hadn't been moved to an IRA yet. And there was a Roth IRA account. So she just gave this lump sum and said this was what she had in her IRA. And we have to break all those down because they're all a little bit different and have some different rules to them. So one of the things we're going to do is really work out with you precisely what you have in those investments, what they're called, how they're set up, and work through each of those together. We'll see how they're structured. We'll see how they're different, because that's going to give you different options on what you can do with them and when. The 403b is different than a 401k. Very similar, but there are some differences, even though they're both company-sponsored plans. Those are all the different pieces that will be helpful to know. As we go through this process with everyone, Just like this client, often we find people say things like, oh, I didn't realize why I had 3 different accounts. And when we delve into it even further, we discovered for one client of mine that in addition to these accounts, she also had a pension. But the sad part was, as we worked through the information on that pension, we found out it had been frozen, and it had been frozen for a couple of years, and there was no growth. So that was very eye-opening, as you can imagine. But this immediately told us that we need to do something because that pension wasn't growing, and we need to grow those funds in order for it to be beneficial to her in her retirement years. In other words, you'll get ideas as you go through the retirement of your dreams assessment form. Because sometimes as we meet with people, they forget. And you might be a little surprised how many people actually forget that they have an old 401k that's still sitting at an employer that they used to work for. Maybe you left an employer and you moved it to an IRA, but it's not on your mind. You're not looking at it monthly and you're not contributing to it. So you need to find that information and how to access it. You need to figure out the company it's set up through and whether you have online access or not, and whether or not you have figured out a way to log into it. That's a great way to see how everything is structured and what and how it's set up. Ultimately, the more you find, you'll probably have questions about what you're looking at. I can review all of it with you, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to know what these things mean. You don't have to know how they're set up. You don't have to understand them because that's my part in the process. That's the job I'm doing for you. I'll walk through it with you. I'll help you understand those investments. I'll help you understand how they're structured, whether you have or haven't been doing something right or wrong with them. For instance, I did that with Cynthia and we discovered her frozen pension. We figured out that she had that 403B and that 401A. She was a little overwhelmed by all of the information that we have been gathering. But that's where you don't have to worry. As you gather that information, you're going to share that information with me so I can walk through all of those details with you and I can figure them out. And the whole point of gathering and sharing this information is to create a baseline for your financial scenario, your money status. So you know where you're currently at and where you want to go with it. The more information you share with me, the better picture I have to figure out what those next steps are for you and what to recommend or change or add. I need a complete picture of your current finances to give you advice or recommendations. And that brings us to step 2, needing to know how to access the information. Answer, we have to figure that out. Again, some people have old investments and we must do some digging in order to access the details. So sometimes we have to find paper copies, to find an account number, to call the company, to find out those details once we have access to that information. Usually you can call the company and they can send you something via email or maybe even snail mail. Some of these companies are still working in old ways. So we do have to do a little bit of digging. Nowadays, most everything does have a login, right? You can access it online or electronically, but we've got to figure out how to access it so we can go through it. Sometimes we'll have to go back to the old days, find those paper copies, gather that information, find the company phone number, call them to be able to even get access to that investment. So it can be daunting. I understand that, but we have to figure out what we have so we know where we're at. Recently, a client of mine, as we were going through this process, she remembered that there was a pension from a previous job that she had forgotten about. Pensions are a very pertinent piece of your financial puzzle because if you have a pension that will give you guaranteed lifetime income, we need to make that part of our conversation. And it circled back to a conversation discussion we had when we were talking about her current 401k and pension. And she just kind of sat there. All of a sudden she had this thought. She goes, wait a minute, there's another one out there. She had to go in, she had to dig it up, she had to find it, but she was able to find it. Then she got a hold of the company so they could send her the details. Pretty nice to find another $7,000 plus yearly income that was coming to her. I helped her know what questions to ask in order to get all the information about her pension that we needed. But it was just out of the blue when she said, wait a minute, there's another account out there somewhere. And often you'll find as we work together, some accounts you have set up and forgotten about them, maybe on purpose, because you didn't want to access them. You wanted those to sit and grow and be there for the future when you get to retirement. And some people have forgotten about those accounts until now. So really the main action is just pulling all that information together. And this brings us to step 3, needing to share all pertinent information. We must show that information to have a better picture of your retirement. You don't have to know the details about the information, but we must pull it together. Anything you can gather electronically, anything that can be emailed, or if needed to, you can just screen share when we're meeting, and I can walk you through what it is and help you see what options you have. Or maybe it is paper because some accounts are still doing things old school. You can download it or scan it, send that to us. We'll help you make heads or tails of it. We still have to be able to pull together all the information. It's crucial. I'm a fiduciary, meaning it's my legal responsibility. It's my license on the line. When I give recommendations, so to give proper recommendations to my clients and prospects, I can only do that if I have all the information. If you share something with me like, hey, I've got this $100,000 from an old 401k that's still sitting there, what should I do with it? I can't answer that question because legally, I don't know what else you have or what your goals are or what you're trying to accomplish. So I can't recommend what to do with that information because it may not fit in your overall plan. So yes, the more you can share, it benefits you because you are gathering and seeing that information and is creating a baseline to understand where you're at. And again, I can only make recommendations if I know the whole picture. And my recommendations may or may not make sense to you if I don't have the whole picture. If you ask the question and I don't have the whole picture, I might give you an answer that doesn't make sense because you wouldn't go down that road with that particular investment. But if I don't know what else you have or what you're working with, I can't come up with a solution for you. Here's the best story I can come up with to help you kind of understand this. As I was talking to a client, they were hesitant, not anymore, in sharing all their information with me. I get it. Many people are hesitant in sharing their financial information. And honestly, my client just wanted some ideas with helping manage their 401k. We discussed when they plan on retiring and what we could do with that 401k. When they left work, I was under the impression that this was their only investment that we were working with. And so as we were talking, I made a recommendation. When you leave work, move that 401k over to this option. This is what it will accomplish for you. And lo and behold, they said, well, I already have one of those. That's why my recommendation didn't make sense to him right away because yeah, it wasn't right for him because he didn't share all the information with me and I didn't know he already had one. That allowed us to delve deeper into it and understand his situation better. And we agreed that another option was better for those funds to give him more of what he was looking for in retirement. In other words, let's find that information and please share it all with me so me and my team aren't wasting your time and we are helping accomplish your goals and your dreams and your desires. Sometimes when you leave a job and get a new one, they allow you to move your 401k to a current job. But if you haven't done that, is that account sitting out there in limbo? Are you managing it? Is somebody else managing it? So the action step is go find all your information. Once you've found that information, we need to figure out how to have access to it. Can we get logged into it? Can you get a PDF of that statement? Or is it just a hard copy or paper copy that we need to scan into the system? And then share that information so we can put together that overall picture. So to recap what we covered in part 3 of 3 on how to build your money status to create the retirement of your dreams, this included 1, needing to know what information to gather. Remember, everything. 2, needing to know how to access the information. Answer, we'll probably have to figure that out with a lot of them. 3, needing to share all pertinent information. You must share that information to have a better picture of your retirement. So now that you understand how money status works, I invite you to request a free Retirement of Your Dreams call by clicking the link here. This completes our 3-part series on how to build your money status to create the retirement of your dreams. Of course, I'm working on the next series. But in the meantime, let me draw your attention to watching my free video to discover my 9-step retirement of your dreams blueprint by clicking here. Thank you for considering retirementofyourdreams.com as your partner in your financial journey. I'm committed to helping you achieve the retirement of your dreams. This is Jason Bergquist, signing off for now. I look forward to meeting you. Have a good day.